Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, Valparaiso. How's everybody doing? Wonderful. So good to hear. Good evening, Calvary Church. How is everybody doing? Wonderful. Good. My name is Joe Whitmer. I'm one of the pastors, and it's my honor to just let you know a little bit about tonight. The first thing is we're so glad that you're here. Whether you're walking by, whether you've stopped by, or whether you've been here for forever, we're so encouraged that you've chosen to take just a bit of time to worship with us tonight and to hear from the Word tonight. Maybe you've been invited by someone. Maybe you just walked up. We just want you to know that we're glad that you're here. And if you need prayer about anything, if you need prayer for anything, this blue tent right over here, we would love to pray with you or for you this evening. Anyone at all, old people, young people, children, new, been here forever. If you need prayer for anything, that's what the blue tent is for, or you can find someone in a blue shirt that says prayer team. The second thing is the white tent right there. If you have questions about anything, you'd like to know a little bit more about what's going on, check out our white tent there. If you're a child and you need some bubbles, or you need some glow bracelets, or you need somebody to just give you a high five, our connections team would love to be a part of that. So the white tent is for that, or you can find a red shirted person that says welcome, and you can just ask them. And that would be great there. Then, if you need some food, don't go to the white tent because you ate it all. But our student ministries is back there. And if you have questions about what's happening in student ministries, they would love to interact with you there. Finally, what's next? What's next after this? If you would love to, we would love to have you come back to Calvary and just spend some time with us there. We do not have services tomorrow since we're doing one tonight. But we do have VBS coming up for children. We'd love to have them come there as well. That's a great thing. VBS is a ton of fun. Out of this world. It's going to be a lot of fun. And best part is we're going to help your kids know more about the Bible, about who Jesus is, and about how the gospel changes people's lives for forever. And we would love to have you a part of that. Last thing, we've got about 50 more chairs open up front. If you didn't bring a chair, you're standing way in the back, and you're like, I want closer, we've got chairs for you here. But here's the deal. Tonight, we want to proclaim the Word of God through worship. We want to receive the Word of God through teaching, and we want to be an encouragement to our city and to one another. Let's continue to worship as we do that. Thanks, Calvary.
This is what freedom feels like. This is what heaven sounds like. We praise you, we praise you. This is what living looks like. This is what freedom feels like. This is what heaven sounds like. We praise you, we praise you. This is what living looks like. This is what freedom feels like. This is what heaven sounds like. We praise you, we praise. We'll see you break down every wall. We'll watch the giants fall. We'll feel you surround when we praise you. The God of breakthroughs on our side. Forever lifted high. With all creation cry, God, we praise you. We'll see you break down every wall. We'll watch the giants fall. You cannot survive when we praise you. The God of breakthroughs on our side. Forever lifted high. With all creation cry, God, we praise you. We praise you. We praise you. We praise you, Lord. He's worthy of our praise. Hey, why don't you go ahead, grab a seat, grab a blanket or towel, whatever you came on, and go ahead and give your attention to the screen here for something really exciting we have coming up next week at Calvary. Take a look.
How we doing tonight, Detroit? Oh, I've always wanted to do that, man. I've always wanted to do that. Hey, what a great night to be downtown in Valparaiso. We're so glad you showed up. If somebody invited you here tonight, like Joe said, if maybe somebody drug you out here tonight, or if you just stopped by to check out what's going on, I'm Josh, one of the pastors here at the church, and if you stick around for the next 15 minutes, I'm going to give you some really good news to think about. Good news. If you grab a hold of it, it'll change the entire course of your life. Let me start tonight by clarifying something right off the bat, okay? If you were to open a Bible, what you would find is a bunch of little stories. But if you back up and you get a bird's eye view, what you will find is that the story of the Bible is the good news of God's grace. It's the story of how far God has gone to rescue undeserving rebels like you and me. It's the story of how far God has gone to redeem this broken world from the curse of sin. God's love for you is inexhaustible. His kindness toward you, His forgiveness, His approval of you is never earned. It's never lost. There's nothing you could do in a billion years to deserve it or contribute to it or repay Him for it. God's grace, His undeserved kindness, it's outrageous. It's scandalous. It's ridiculous. And it doesn't matter where you've been this week or how you walked in here tonight. It's available to you. Now you say, well, that's not been my experience with church or Christians. It's been anything but grace. In my experience, Christians are nothing but a bunch of pretenders, grumpy, judgmental, hypocrites who don't even live up to their own standards. If I never meet another one of those people or pastors again, it'll be too soon. You know what? I believe you. I believe you. I've met a lot of pretenders in the church. And you know what else? It's a shame that they've scared you away from the real thing. because I've also met a lot of genuinely broken people whose lives are being changed forever by God's grace and the power of the gospel. Listen, we're not out here tonight trying to tell anybody how amazing any of us are. We're not out here trying to celebrate our preferred system of morality. The fact of the matter is, there are men and women all over this crowd out here tonight who believe that your greatest hope and your greatest treasure in this life is one man who will never let you down. One man who stands above every other man. One man who has answered the problem of evil. One man who is the answer to every ounce of suffering that we face in this life. One man who can redeem our pain. One man who is justice. One man who is love. One man who always keeps his promises. One man who created us in his image and gets to tell us who we are. We're out here tonight because we believe that there is one man who that has never been a pretender. One man who has met the standard that we couldn't meet. There is one man who made a way to set us free from the curse of sin. And you know what? He's not a Republican. He's not a Democrat. He's not even an American. Oh, but he is a king. We put our hope in what he's done and what he's promised and what he says is true about us. You know who I'm talking about, Valpo? His name is Jesus Christ the Lord. Okay? Now, this is why it doesn't matter how you showed up tonight. Okay, maybe you've been skeptical. Maybe you've been turned off. Maybe you haven't been willing to open up to hear the truth of the gospel. Maybe you haven't been willing to grab a hold of the good news of God's grace because of some bad church experience, or you met some phony Christian, or because you've suffered in this life. I want you to know tonight that we've been praying specifically for you. We've been praying that God would give you the courage to break free from whatever it is that is keeping you from experiencing his ridiculous, life-changing grace. Okay? The story of the Bible is the story of God's grace. But it's also the story that you are living and breathing in right now. It all started in a garden where Adam and Eve, created in the image of God, walked with God. He was with them in an incredible way, and it was very good. But when they decided that God wasn't enough, and that they wanted something other, something more than him to be satisfied, when they chose to listen to another voice and determined to choose their own way, that's where the world that we live in began to be unraveled by the curse of sin. Sin is what has fractured our relationship with God. It's what broke this world. And it's spread to each one of us, and it is part of our story. We are curved in on ourselves. We want to be our own God. We want created things and people and pleasure to be our God. And everywhere we look, there's the fallout of our sin. There's sickness and pain and struggle. There's pride and broken relationships and addiction. Our sin contributes to a world of decay and death. But you see, because of God's grace, that's not where the story ends. We've all participated in jacking up this world. We've all participated in rebelling against God and belittling his glory. But the story isn't over. God is holy. God is just. And so he separated us from his glory after our sin and rebellion in the garden. There was no obligation on his part to come after us, to move toward undeserving sinners. But this is the story of grace. He laid down his glory and he took on human nature in order to make a way for you and for me. God the Father sent his Son, Jesus Christ, and he lived a life and loved perfectly in your place and in mine. He restored the glory of God in every way that we belittle and rebel against it. At the cross, Jesus Christ willingly laid down his life in order to bear the weight of your sin and mine. At the cross, he satisfied the demand of God's justice, and his payment was sufficient. And sin's curse couldn't hold him. He defeated sin, death, hell, and the devil. He made a way through death. He made a way for you to be healed and whole and always with him. And he's promised that he will return to finish what he started and bring heaven back to this earth, and it will be very good again. Can you at least begin to hear why this gospel is good news? Jesus came after you to rescue you, to redeem you, to forgive you, to bring you to himself so that he can lavish his love and his goodness on you forever. You say, well, that sounds pretty amazing, actually. Oh, it is. It is. But so how is this good news about Jesus supposed to change the entire course of my life? Now, that's a great question. I'm so glad you asked. We could talk about it for days, but I got like 7 or 8 minutes left, okay? So let me just talk about one of the ways that it changes things. You grab a hold of God's grace in Jesus, and it will set you free from the traps. Traps? What traps? In our modern Western culture, you and I are taught from the ground up that we must establish our identity. You are told to figure out and to determine who you are, who it is that you want to be, and then go and do it. Go achieve it. Go be it. That's how you find a sense of worth, acceptance, security, significance, and happiness in life. It's how you will be able to feel good about who you are. You choose and then you go and achieve it, prove it, be it. Now, friends, let me tell you, that sounds great and all. It makes for good advertisements in Disney movies. But what nobody wants to tell you is that this whole idea of you choosing, establishing, or achieving something in order to gain an identity, it will enslave you. And eventually, it will destroy your life. I'm going to speak the truth tonight in love because in the words of Jesus in John chapter 8, he said, you will know the truth and the truth will set you free. I want to invite you to choose today to live your life without a chain around your leg. And it's possible for you because of God's grace. This is one of the most important choices you're ever going to make. I want you to choose to be free from the traps. The traps, you ready? The approval trap, the performance trap, the comparison trap. Because listen, if you break free, what you'll find out is that you're actually able to love. And you'll finally discover what it means to truly live. First, let me explain how you fall into these traps. You see, you fall into the approval trap when you strive for your worth, your significance. When you look to feel secure and loved through the affirmation, the approval, and the praise of others. This is you living to be popular, liked, influential, or seen. Every single one of us, to some degree, wrestles with placing too much importance on what other people think. Okay, even if you're the guy who says, well, I don't care what other people think. That's not really true. You're just bucking up against the system. You want people to think you're cool because you're such a good rebel, right? When you get caught in this trap, life only has meaning. You can only feel good about who you are if this or that person or group is happy with you or thinks highly of you or lets you in. The approval trap stirs up a deep insecurity over the expectations of others. If they think you're a good person or amazing or interesting, then you feel worth something and you're happy. But if they don't like you or don't think well of you or don't accept you, then you're crushed and you feel worthless. When how I find worth, love, or significance is largely determined by how others see me or how I see me, then I've gotten caught in the trap. And it becomes a master that enslaves me, a chain around my leg, a weight that I was never meant to bear. The performance trap is a close cousin. And you fall into this trap when you strive to prove your value, your significance, when you look to feel secure, loved through the stuff that you can accomplish, achieve, or produce. This is when you feel like you have to achieve a sense of worth through success or education or your following, like those are the things that define you. It's basing your worth on your ability to perform. And when you get caught in this trap, life only has meaning, and you can only feel good about who you are if you're getting a lot done, if you're seen and recognized for your accomplishments or how successful you're able to be at school, sports, your career, or how much influence you can gain through social media. But if you fail at something, anything, what you sense is that you are a failure, and you begin to lose your sense of value, your security, your joy. The approval trap, the performance trap, the comparison trap. It's more of the same, and you get caught in it when you strive for your worth or your significance, when you look to feel secure and loved by just having to be better than someone else. It's basing who you are and your happiness on being prettier, stronger, smarter, better, skinnier, more popular than somebody else. Now, I hope you notice the basic equation in each of these traps. Here it is. I am what I do. Who I am, my value, my worth is measured by my performance. If I can do enough, be enough, I will prove that I'm worthy, and I will be happy, and I will be loved, and I will be secure in who I am. But friends, here's why these are traps. They master you, they control you, they enslave you, and in the end, they never end up delivering on what you're searching for. If you have to strive to achieve anything for a sense of worth or significance, then guess what that means? You got to go and chase after it. You got to go do it, and you got to do it well, and you need to keep it up. And what you'll eventually find out is what it's like to be on a hamster wheel. You know the hamster wheel? If you don't get free from these traps, you will end up waking up each and every day with an unrelenting pressure to be more than you are. And like so many people, you will deal with insecurity and anxiety and frustration, because when you choose to live like you need to achieve in order to be approved, when you live like you have to prove that you're worth something, valuable or lovable, it's a terrible way to live. It's an exhausting way to live. It's an enslaving way to live. And not only does it destroy you, it crushes everybody else around you. John chapter 8, verse 32, Jesus said, "You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." And the truth is this: there is a different way of being able to understand who you are. The gospel can free you from your addiction to being liked, from your striving for the approval of others, from performance, from comparison. These are weights that you were never meant to bear. But here's the good news. Jesus Christ measured up for you so that you wouldn't have to live up under the enslaving pressure of measuring up for anybody else. Do you realize that it is only in the gospel of Jesus Christ that you get the verdict before the performance?
We're clearing off the surface. You're coming into focus. We're going back to the basics. The glory of your face is the reason why we do this. The winds of worship blowing, the doors of heaven open. Jesus, you're at the center. Lord, help us to and every story of a prodigal coming home. It's on the